Jerry Jones is too old to run the Cowboys, and trading Micah Parsons was the right decision. Yes, both can be true, and I'll break it all down. And at what point are we going to finally stop comparing WNBA teams with high school boys teams? We'll have the latest in that ongoing saga. I'm Doug Kezirian, formerly of ESPN for 11 years, also over 2 decades of broadcasting experience. This is Hard Fast, also available in podcast. First things first, we had a contest in our last episode about naming a new football segment, and we do. It's called Huddle Up. Actually came from a member of our production staff, but we want to give the shout out to the runner-up, which came from our comment section. And that was Trend Zone, submitted by PD6189. He will also receive that free WNBA week of picks. So appreciate everyone contributing. It's so awesome that so many good suggestions there. And hopefully you like Huddle Up. Well, the NFL season begins Thursday with the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Dallas Cowboys. And maybe Cowboys fans can blame the league office and schedule makers for all their anger about how the team traded Micah Parsons. What do I mean by that? Stay with me here. There's widespread speculation that Jerry Jones rushed the trade and didn't do his due diligence figuring out what other teams were willing to offer just because the Cowboys had a regular season game within a week. So he rushed it. Now, as for the actual decision to trade him, it was the right decision for Dallas. I know it sounds crazy. They're already a mess. They're not winning the Super Bowl. Their timeline to turn this franchise around is very different than what Parsons' timeline is with that contract. They cannot throw more good money at a bad roster and bad contract. Everyone needs to settle down with these extreme hot takes. Darkest day in Cowboys organization? Come on. Here's ESPN's Dan Orlovsky.
Good organizations do not trade Hall of Fame players in their primes. Right now, the Cowboys are not a good organization. This will go down as one of the worst trades in the history of their football team and their organization. This is one of the, as far as we won or lost, worst days in the Cowboys since Jerry Jones has owned them. And this is like remember after the Green Bay Packer debacle in the playoffs?
Yeah.
He could not have handled from that moment to this moment worse.
I really like Dan. He was always awesome to me when I was at ESPN, and I think he's great on TV, has good insight, more breaking down films, but he has good perspective here and there. I just think Dallas is a dumpster fire. And that's why doing this deal made sense. Everyone's complaining about the return package, 2 first-rounders and then 3-time Pro Bowler Kenny Clark. Well, newsflash, another component of that is the fact that the Packers had to give that huge money, and the NFL is a hard salary cap. The money is part of the situation. So if Dallas had given Parsons that contract, they would have 3 guys, Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, and Parsons, represent 50% of their cap. That's ridiculous. That prevents them from winning. Plus, Parsons has back issues. He's unreliable in terms of his health. He needs an epidural to get on an airplane. Come on. And he can't even help stop the run either. Now, he's a weapon, and they're worse without him. And he forces offenses the game plan, and he's a wrecker, but he's not TJ Watt. He's not Myles Garrett. I was careful earlier when I said trading him was the right decision, but it's because of where they are as an organization right now. The Lamb contract was terrible too. However, ironically, they made the same mistake that another Dallas team made, not doing the due diligence. That's front office malpractice. Nico Harrison with the Mavs did go see what Luka would fetch in the open market. He just made the deal with the Lakers, and it sounds like Jerry rushed this. They rushed the decision and did not get a great return. During the press conference, Jerry Jones seemed to have it. I mean, he's 82 years old, looks and sounds every bit of it.
That Michael could bring us a lot of resources on a trade. That Michael.
He was calling Parsons Michael instead of Micah a few times that his son, Steven, had to step in and correct him. There's just no need for him to still be in charge of football decisions. The roster is a mess. The CeeDee Lamb contract should never have been signed. It's almost like they're treating it like baseball and there's no salary cap. But given the situation and the fact that they're not going to go to the playoffs this year, trading him was fine, but it was malpractice, much like the Nico Harrison situation, to not get the best return deal. Forget the Super Bowl. This team has not even made the NFC Championship game since 1996. It's 3 decades. And he may not care that much about winning. That's the reports and the rumors. He cares about the news cycle. Legendary Dallas quarterback Troy Aikman basically accused Jerry of stirring up things for no reason and focusing too much on the Cowboys brand. Yes, it's worth more than any other franchise in American sports. I get it. But the mystique is long gone. But it's not because they traded Micah Parsons. Jerry Jones has been running this thing into the ground for a long time, and his best days are behind him. He should not be in charge of football decisions. But I thought that getting Parsons this money, given everything that's going on with the roster, would have actually made things worse. Worse, yes. And so they got a lot in return, all things considered. Maybe they could have gotten more. That's malpractice. I would agree with that. Meanwhile, time for some hoop scoop, and something is off with these Porter brothers. I just do not get it. Now, we know Johntay Porter is awaiting sentencing, facing prison time for his involvement in a betting scheme where he was either shaving points or providing sensitive information for prop bets to illegal gambling. And this was all while he was playing as a member of the Toronto Raptors. Really bad stuff. But now his brother, Michael Porter Jr., is well thought of, won a title with the Denver Nuggets, obviously a top 10 pick. He's been on this podcast tour that really doesn't make any sense. Been saying some crazy stuff and getting involved in weird conversations. Well, here he is weighing in. I don't know why he needs to weigh in, but he does, on whether or not a McDonald's All-American boys team could beat the WNBA or the Women's Basketball Olympic U.S. team.
This is one of them things, bro, where you can't dance around it, bro. At the end of the day, like, in high school, when I was in high school, it was like grown men, bro. We were grown men pretty much. Like me, Trey Young, DeAndre Ayton, Gary Trent, PJ Washington, like.
Damn, now that's a crazy lineup.
If we play the WNBA All-Star team, I mean, that's a no disrespect, bro.
How much?
No disrespect, bro. I'm not even gonna say.
All right. I don't know why I have to keep saying this. Certain people should have the training. This topic does not play well. It's insulting and dehumanizing. Women's basketball is trying to grow the sport. They're not claiming to be better than men or anything on that issue. The very concept is what's wrong with the situation. They just want to be viewed through their lens because that's what the sport is about. It's not about this hypothetical with boys or the men's. Trust me, I get it as guys. We love these hypothetical situations. We do. It's like Jordan versus LeBron, right? We always discuss crazy riddles too, like the famous one from social media not too long ago, 100 men versus one gorilla. But there are ways that these convos can get offensive when scrutinizing an entire gender, because that gender might get defensive, right? We should just know better at this point. Remember when Serena Williams was in her prime? Crushing it. We were celebrating her in her career. And someone would say, well, she couldn't beat the 200th ranked men's tennis player. That's not what we're discussing. That's insulting to everything she's accomplishing. And then even race got involved. It's putting someone down who's achieving great success. It's not about being right or wrong with this hypothetical situation, who would win. Porter should know this by now. He should have the media training. Frankly, where's the Brooklyn Nets PR team during all this? Can't they get in front of this? Time now for Fans in the Stands, and this is when we address the comments from our audience, our fans in the stands. But it's also a reminder to like and subscribe the show. This is the new age of YouTube and the analytics. It's our currency in this YouTube world. So we really appreciate everyone taking the time to do that and also join the conversation, commenting what you like, what you dislike, what you want to see more of. Obviously, we're incorporating football now, so a lot of exciting stuff. So please let us know your input. We are all ears, and criticism too, constructive criticism, right? All right, comment I want to touch on from Sid the Kid 84. Great episode, way to follow the thread, learning so much about the W2. Yeah, last couple months, we've really dove into the WNBA. I've been watching it and covering it and hosting halftime stuff for the last decade plus and really understand the league. I enjoy betting it. I've been successful. Anybody who caught Betting 101 last week, we had the Valkyries minus 5.5. The market moved to 4. They won by 35. Decent pick, right? Wish they were all that easy. A rocking chair win, like we like to say. But the WNBA is interesting and it's compelling, and you have big time players now with Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, and what that is a byproduct of the WNBA's earlier years when it was struggling in terms of quality of play. But what happened is young girls saw women playing basketball on TV, and that piqued their interest, and then more youth camps and things like that. So there's a trickle down effect, so to speak. So the players coming up now are going to be that much better. And is it the NBA right now? No, but comparing it to the 80s, which is year 28 or whatever it was, the NBA in the 70s and 80s, that's really the apples to apples. So I hope people are enjoying the WNBA coverage. We'll get back to the NBA when it starts in October. And, of course, preseason, things like that. Another comment, Mark Preston, 6115. Another great episode, Doug. Love the content. Curious in your thoughts on the Candace Parker jersey retirement in Chicago. She has the history with the city, I understand, but was only there for the 2 years and won one championship. Seems a bit extreme to me, at least, to warrant a jersey retirement with such a short tenure with them. I agree. It was a little bit of a double take, I think is a fair way to put it. But she's from there, starred there, went to Tennessee, starred there, but she's been an ambassador for basketball, women's basketball in Chicago. She won a title with the Sky, but yes, only there 2 years. Kind of strange, but maybe they're trying to grow the Sky, concept with the United Center, things like that. It was a double take, like I said. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Hard Pass. Awesome having football on board. Awesome having the NFL season here, as well as college football. So we'll dive into a lot of this, but there will be tons of good topics throughout as we move forward. But that's going to do it for this edition of Hard Pass.